That night, a guy who claimed to represent the Grim Reaper issued the first blood kill order. Next, multiple gang leaders in Tianhai City were killed one after another. For a while, people enthusiastically discussed, if you were the Proxy Reaper, who would you send the blood-killing order to? Control one's own parents, deadbeat debtors who refuse to repay debts, scumbags who deceive emotions, villains who commit all kinds of crimes. Ling Feng replied, none of them, I only send to those fish that cannot be killed by the sword of righteousness and are caught in a net. It's not that Ling Feng is so great, but because he once promised someone, I will definitely find you, as the blue sky falls from the underworld. Chapter 1. Killing pigs, killing wolves, and fighting tigers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a luxurious private room of a certain KTV in Tianhai City, several shirtless tattooed men are crying and howling. A bald and chubby man in the center exclaimed discontentedly, damn it, why hasn't the lady I asked for come over yet, Blackie? Go out and take a look. The big man named Heisey was ordered to leave. Big brother, this KTV is not actively seeking refuge with our Shanju gang. Recently, I heard that they are very close to the Wild Wolf gang. TM clearly underestimates the strength of our Shanju gang, so why not send dozens of brothers over and smash this place, said a man with a face full of flesh and blood. Smash and smash, you know how to use force to solve problems. We're called the Mountain Pig Gang. You really think you're a pig and need to use your brain. Our goal is to get money. You've smashed up all the places, how can you get the money? Go, find a few people to kidnap the boss's daughter. If you don't agree to submit to us, then you'll tear up the ticket for me. The bald fat man said lightly. The bald and chubby man is named Shanju, the leader of the Shanju gang. He is skilled in kidnapping and extortion, always boasting about his intelligence, but his methods are cruel and ruthless. Most of the hostages he kidnapped were torn up by him. But the police have never been able to obtain conclusive evidence of his crime, and can only let him go unpunished. Suddenly, the door of the private room was opened, and Heisey walked in with 5 tall ladies. 4 of them were wearing suspenders on their upper bodies, a mini skirt on their lower bodies, high heels on their feet, and black stockings on their legs. One by one, they were scratching their heads and pretending to hold their proud breasts straight in front of the guests. The few people inside the room were watching their blood boil, and obscene gaze drifted back and forth on them. Boss, don't be fooled. The ladies in this place are more and more charming and tempting. I have selected 4 of the hottest ones for you, and there is also a student girl. Take a look, it doesn't suit your taste. Shanju couldn't bear to take his gaze away from the 4 young ladies. He wished he could conquer these 4 beauties now. But still managed to resist the impulse and looked at the 5th girl in student uniform. I saw the girl wearing a short-sleeved white shirt on her upper body and a light purple floral skirt on her lower body. A pair of jade legs were wrapped in pink and white stockings, paired with a pair of white sports shoes. At this moment, his watery big eyes were looking at the people in the private room with some fear. When he saw Shanju notice her, he quickly lowered his head in fear. Her every move is indescribably pure and moving. I always go in and out of romantic places. I haven't seen any hot women like Shanju before, but such women are too coquettish and always take the initiative to post them. At this moment, seeing such a pure girl suddenly made me feel refreshed and a man's desire to conquer surged up. This little sister, is it your first time coming to this kind of place? Shanju asked with a kind smile on his face. Well, my mother is sick, and I came out to work on my own to earn tuition and medical expenses, the girl said timidly. What a good girl, don't be afraid. Uncle is not a bad person. Come over and sit next to him. The girl scanned the room with her eyes, looked at the others, and then lowered her head without taking a step. Shanju saw that the girl seemed to be a bit scared, so he ordered, this girl stays, and the remaining 4 of you go out and play on your own. Okay, Mr. Xie, and others took 4 young ladies out, leaving only the boar and the girl in student attire in the private room. They've all left, so you're not afraid this time. As long as you take care of me, your tuition and your mother's medicine will be covered. Shanju had already begun to fantasize about the feeling of the girl lying under him. Uncle, do you keep your word? The girl's big eyes flickered as she looked at the mountain pig. Of course it counts. Okay, uncle, please sign on this piece of paper, the girl said as she took out a piece of paper from behind. Shanju took the paper in confusion and thought to himself, students are students. He even signed it. If I had kept my word, I would have died countless times. I still enjoy the angry and desperate expressions of those kidnapped who think they are about to be saved when they see the ransom, but are killed by me. Although I think so in my heart, the play still needs to continue. Come on, let me see what's written on the paper. Just a few seconds later, Shanju's face changed and he sternly asked, "Who are you?" My hands have started to touch the gun pinned to my waist behind me. The person who wants your life. The mountain pig only saw a flash of cold light in front of him, and then felt a numbness in his neck. He wanted to make a call, but couldn't say anything. Blood gushed out from the neck of the mountain pig like a spring, and the mountain pig looked incredulously at the girl who had just shown timidity and fear in front of him. At this moment, he was holding two curved moon daggers in both hands, licking the blood stains on the tip of the knife with his tongue, bloodthirsty. You. Shanju pointed at the girl and blurted out these two words, and finally collapsed weakly. The blood flowed freely, dyeing the paper red. Pooh! The girl spat and foamed, scumbags, even blood smells. The girl walked up to Shanju and found her phone on him. She dialed the number and said, "Hello, is this the Tianhai City news channel?" "Yes, there is a homicide happening here. The location is inside a certain KTV in Beichingen, Tianhai City. You should come and interview me quickly." She hung up the phone and continued to dial, "Hello, is it 110? Yes, I want to report the case. There is a homicide happening here. The location is inside a certain KTV in Beichingen, Tianhai City." After saying that, she threw the phone on the ground and left. 10 minutes later, radio reporters and police arrived at the scene one after another. The police quickly closed the scene, but the sharp reporters still captured a lot of information and quickly reported on the scene. This is Tianhai City News Channel. Around 20:00 tonight, a murder case occurred in a certain KTV in our city. The victim's name was Shanju, who was the leader of the Shanju gang in our city. The police suspected that the gang was involved in gang activities such as kidnapping and murder. The perpetrator has not been arrested yet, but it was learned from witnesses at the scene that the perpetrator intentionally left a note at the scene, which reads: "Blood killing order, victim. Shanju, charges. Involvement in black, kidnapping, murder, executor. Acting as the Grim Reaper." The police have now intervened, and we will continue to report on the progress. At the same time, in a secluded alley 1 kilometer away from the KTV, a tall girl in student uniform is walking. She looked around and confirmed that there was no one around. Then she cursed, "Damn it, wearing women's clothes is troublesome and hindering." She quickly took off her clothes and threw them into the trash can. Then take out a bag from the back of the trash can and take out a white suit to replace it. After changing, looking at the slightly loose suit on his body, the person couldn't help but laugh at himself. This woman has been pretending for a long time, she has forgotten her original identity. He said with a crackling sound of bones on his body. I saw that this person's height has increased a bit, and their figure has also become more robust. He casually waved his fists and feet a few times, feeling his unlimited and full energy. Looking at the well-dressed suit that was neither fat nor thin, the person couldn't help but smile. This is the demeanor that Ling Feng should have. Now that I have killed the mountain boar, the media and the police should have seen the note I left them. However, just one mountain boar is not enough, we need to continue to increase their quantity so that the world and the police can truly notice me. The next target. The leader of the Wild Wolf Gang. Han Lang, Ling Feng thought as he threw away his beautiful pupils, eyelashes, wigs, and so on. Hey, being a woman is really troublesome. At 5 a.m. the next day, in a villa on the Mongshan mountain near Tianhai City, Han Lang was sleeping with his head covered. Last night he heard that his old rival, the mountain pig, had been killed. Once Shanzhu dies, the industries under the jurisdiction of Shanzhu Gang will be taken over by their Wild Wolf Gang. I had a good time drinking with my little brothers and was not sent back to my villa to rest until 4 a.m. Suddenly, a white shadow flipped into Han Lang's bedroom from the window on the second floor of the villa. This white shadow is exactly Ling Feng. Looking at Han Lang sleeping with his head covered, Ling Feng thought to himself, these gangs are really bad. They are all named after pigs, wolves, tigers, and the like, all of which are animal names. It's also their business. Ling Feng walked up to the bed and reached out to wake up Han Lang. Han Lang, with his drunken and hazy eyes, saw the white figure in front of him. As he had been rubbing and fighting on the tip of his knife all year round, he immediately realized the danger and reached out to grab the pistol under his pillow. Han Gang leader, I advise you not to move, Ling Feng said condescendingly. Han Lang looked at the person in front of him, who looked like he was only 17 or 18 years old. He had fair skin and a handsome appearance, but his eyes were sharp and his mouth curved slightly with a wicked smile, indicating that he was not a good person. Who are you and what are you doing? Do you know that there are over 30 brothers living downstairs? Stop talking nonsense, please sign for this paper. Ling Feng chuckled and handed over the blood kill order. Blood killing order, executed by Han Lang, crime. Drug trafficking, human trafficking, homicide, executor. Acting as the god of death. You are. Han Lang looked at the slightly familiar note and tried to recall it. Suddenly, he remembered that there was such a blood-killing order at the scene where Shanzhu was killed last night. Without hesitation, Han Lang quickly pulled out a pistol from under his pillow, ready to catch the other person off guard. Although Han Lang is fast, Ling Feng is faster. A pair of crescent-shaped daggers appeared in his hand at some point, and with a swoop, the two daggers twisted in a scissor-like manner towards Han Lang's wrist, holding the gun. As soon as Han Lang lifted the gun, he felt a pain in his wrist, and the hand holding the gun, along with the pistol, fell onto the bed. Intense pain came, and Han Lang couldn't help but scream. At that moment, a cold light flashed and he cut his throat. Using the same technique, Han Lang didn't have time to make a sound and collapsed on the bed dejectedly. Ling Feng picked up Han Lang's phone and continued to call the radio and police. After completing all of this, he quickly disappeared into the mountains and forests outside the villa. At a 5-star hotel in Tianhai City, Ling Feng was comfortably soaking in the bathtub. After a whole night of squatting and assassination, he also felt a bit tired. But now he is more interested in the media and police's reactions to the two things he did. Ling Feng took out his iPad and started flipping through various videos and reports. Sure enough, the KTV murder case last night dominated the headlines of various sectors. And the latest news report on the killing of the leader of the Wild Wolf Gang, Han Lang, has also been released, with tens of thousands of clicks to read. What makes Ling Feng even more amused is that someone has created a Proxy Death God post bar, which contains various speculations about the Proxy Death God. One of the posts has received over 10,000 replies, which has caught Ling Feng's attention. If you were the Proxy Reaper, who would you send the next blood kill order to? Ling Feng curiously clicked inside and found that there was everything written inside, most of which were about what to send to him or his enemies, and some were about to send to the man who had betrayed his feelings. Surprisingly, some even wrote about sending to their parents. Ling Feng sneered, childish. Then he replied below the post, if I were the Proxy Reaper, my next blood kill order would be sent to the leader of the Tiger Gang. Chapter 2. Actions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The gang in Tianhai City has been in chaos these days. 2 gang leaders were killed consecutively, but the culprit was never caught. And various rumors have started to spread online. Some say that the Proxy death god came to uphold justice and specifically hunted down various black faction leaders. Some people also say that this is just a black-eating activity done by the underworld to cover up for the public. Everyone has different opinions, and for a while, the leaders of each gang have strengthened their guard around them. Whether the culprit is targeting them or there are other gangs who want to eat black, it is always right to strengthen their own guard. Unlike the nervousness of gang leaders, Ling Feng lives a leisurely life. While collecting intelligence about the Tiger Gang, he also pays attention to online news and public opinion. The leader of the Tiger Gang, Hu Liwei, will celebrate his 60th birthday at the Triumph Hotel this Saturday. Humph, it's an opportunity. Nowadays, there are various opinions on the internet, and I want to use this action to send a clear signal to the outside world that the blood-killing order representing the god of death is specifically prepared for these unscrupulous villains. Tiger Liwei within the Tiger Gang is on a phone with someone. Hey, big brother, how's your police investigation going? Is there any news of the culprit? This Saturday is my 60th birthday, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Don't worry, Ahu. Although our police station has not yet obtained information about the murderer, on your birthday, I will send my confidant, Cold Blood, to protect your safety. As you know, Cold Blood is our police station's ace sniper. With him, even if the murderer dares to appear that day, he will be killed on the spot. Hu Liwei hung up the phone, still feeling uneasy. He called a subordinate and ordered, "Go, let the brothers clear the Triumph Hotel now. Except for the chef and waitress, no one is allowed to enter." As his subordinates were about to leave, Hu Liwei still felt uneasy in his heart. He stopped and said, "Go, call the eagle over. It's time for him to serve me." Saturday Triumphal Hotel. Today's hotel was surrounded by people in black and was flooded. An endless stream of gangsters came to congratulate. The radio station staff also moved and stood outside the hotel early to take photos. At this moment, Ling Feng was busy standing in the hotel lobby dressed as a waitress. Before Hu Liwei arrived, Ling Feng quietly observed everything around him. A high platform has been erected to the south of the hall, with 2 rows of tables and chairs arranged in a straight line below. It is obvious that Hu Liwei will sit on the south platform. To the west of the platform is a large French window. Ling Feng can run away from the broken window in the west after the assassination. But to assassinate, one must approach Hu Liwei up close on the high platform. Now that the high platform has been surrounded, Ling Feng has not yet figured out a strategy on how to reach it. Quickly, at 11 o'clock noon, the people were almost there. Hu Liwei walked in with a few people and sat directly on the high platform. A burly figure with a cold and stern face and a large scar stood beside Hu Liwei. After chatting with everyone for a few words, Hu Liwei began to make people serve dishes. Ling Feng secretly stuffed the blood-killing order into the fish's belly, picked up the dish, and walked towards the high platform. As soon as he arrived at the platform, he was stopped by a few people and asked for the dish. Ling Feng cursed inwardly, "This old fox is really cunning. If it doesn't work, we can only seize the opportunity to launch a strong attack." As time passed by, Ling Feng's heart was filled with anxiety. There are at least a few hundred people in the hotel now, and Hu Liwei is sitting on a high platform. Ling Feng has no chance to get close directly. Since we have decided to launch a strong attack, if we want to make a big fuss, it will be time for Hu Liwei to take action when he sees the blood-killing order in the fish's belly. On the high platform, Hu Liwei suddenly let out a "hey" sound and took out a piece of paper from the fish's belly. He opened it and looked at the blood-killing order, the victim. Hu Liwei, the crime. Molestation, drug trafficking, murder, the executor. Acting as the god of death. Hu Liwei's face changed dramatically, and the burly man beside him immediately became alert. At this moment, Ling Feng shook his hand and a dagger flew towards the chandelier on the top of the high platform with a swoosh, and the chandelier fell in response. The burly man, who had been on guard for a long time, immediately stepped forward to block the drop of the chandelier. Ling Feng and others took this opportunity to rush up the high platform with one swift step, and the curved moon dagger in his right hand brought a cold light to attack Hu Liwei's neck. At that moment, the man who was supposed to stop the chandelier suddenly stabilized his body, grabbed the falling chandelier, and slapped it at Ling Feng. The huge shadow magnified in Ling Feng's eyes, and Ling Feng quickly lowered his body to avoid it. With this evasion, the dagger that had originally hit his neck deflected and hit Hu Liwei's chest, leaving a long blood hole in front of his chest. At this moment, all the people reacted and crowded around. Ling Feng, holding a crescent moon dagger in both hands, confronted the crowd. "I didn't expect the famous Proxy death god to be a woman, but I, the eagle, won't show mercy to women," said the burly man. "Don't talk nonsense, kill her for me." Hu Liwei was both shocked and scared now. The cut just now only pierced his chest and didn't hurt anything vital, otherwise he would have died in one go. "It's really too risky, we must quickly get rid of this woman." The mischievous young men who had reacted no longer hesitated, and took out their prepared machetes to chop towards Ling Feng. The machetes reflected a cold light, and the crowd shouted loudly as they looked at Ling Feng, who was surrounded by hundreds of people. It was like there was no life or death. But Ling Feng didn't want to give up. When the blood kill order is issued, anyone who sees it will die. Ling Feng once made such a promise to someone. "So even if I die here today, I still want to kill Hu Liwei." "Ah!" Ling Feng waved a dagger and pushed towards Hu Liwei. At this moment, Ling Feng only had one idea in his heart, which was to kill Hu Liwei. Chopping towards Ling Feng with machetes. If Ling Feng can avoid it, if he cannot avoid it, resist it forcefully. Ling Feng kept dodging and moving, and a pair of daggers kept flipping up and down. One by one, the ancient puzzling figures were stabbed by the daggers, breaking their tendons and groaning in pain and falling to the ground. In no time, Ling Feng's side was covered with people, and for a moment no one dared to approach Ling Feng again. Ling Feng was slashed several times on his body before finally reaching Hu Liwei. He swung his hand and threw a flying knife towards Hu Liwei's throat, but with a loud bang, he was struck to the ground by the eagle with a machete. Shwa, shwa, shwa. Ling Feng threw several flying knives one after another, attacking Hu Liwei's upper, middle, and lower 3 sets. The eagle dared not be careless and danced its machete into flower-like blades, helping Tiger Liwei resist the flying sword. Suddenly, Ling Feng's side leg launched a flying knife from under his feet and directly attacked the eagle. The real purpose of Ling Feng's several flying knives was to attract the attention of the eagle and take it by surprise. Sure enough, the eagle couldn't dodge and was stabbed in the right arm, stumbling and falling to the ground. Ling Feng seized the opportunity, pounced fiercely, crossed his arms, and was about to cut his throat at Hu Liwei. Hu Liwei looked at the dagger in his eyes, which had rapidly enlarged. He was frightened and wanted to ask for help from the eagle, but at this moment, the eagle was hit by the knife and fell backwards, unable to intervene. Hu Liwei's face was full of fear and he shouted loudly, "Don't do it." But Ling Feng will not give up this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and the dagger in his hand will quickly cut towards his throat. Bang! Ah! The cold-blooded man who had been crouching on the top of the high-rise building opposite the Triumph Hotel shot. At the critical moment, he directly pulled the trigger, and the bullet pierced the glass of the hotel's French window, straight into Ling Feng's left shoulder. The huge impact lifted Ling Feng back for 2 meters. Hu Liwei, who was still in shock, realized that he was not dead, and also found that Ling Feng's left shoulder was covered in blood and flesh and couldn't stand up. Crazy shouting, "Go ahead and kill her. Whoever kills her will be rewarded with 500,000 yuan. Seeing Ling Feng injured and hearing a reward of 500,000 yuan, the ancient perplexed children went even crazier towards Ling Feng, as if they had taken a stimulant. Ling Feng felt that his left arm had lost consciousness, and the intense pain made his eyes red. He struggled to stand up, holding the crescent dagger tightly in his right hand and raising himself horizontally to defend himself. A young man with yellow hair was preparing to sneak attack Ling Feng from behind. Ling Feng retreated like a ghost, bumped his back, and then turned around. His right hand had already wrapped around the young man's neck, and the sharp blade of the dagger was pressed against the opponent's neck. Ling Feng held on to Huang Mao and looked coldly at the ancient confused guy who was holding a machete and constantly trying to chop him over. Upon being looked at by Ling Feng, the ancient perplexed child who was surrounded unconsciously wanted to step back. "Damn it, who told you to stop? Give it to me," Hu Liwei shouted wildly as he saw so many people being suppressed by Ling Feng's gaze. "Come on, let's each cut her to death with one knife." The crowd began to move again in silence. Ling Feng swiped his right hand and cut Huang Mao's throat, then a dagger rushed towards the crowd like a venomous snake spitting out a message. One knife, 2 knives, 3 knives. Ling Feng had already been hit by countless knives, and the entire hotel lobby was already covered with people in pain and grief. Due to excessive blood loss and severe injuries, Ling Feng has started to have blurred eyes, hallucinations, and may fall to the ground at any time. "Li, I'll go find you now. I'm sorry, my promise to you can't be fulfilled." Ling Feng poured his last bit of strength into the flying knife and threw it at Hu Liwei. At this moment, many tear gas bombs were suddenly thrown into the hotel window and door, while a large number of police officers burst in with live ammunition. The people inside are listening. "We are the Tianhai Special Police Detachment. Immediately lay down our weapons and undergo inspection." The ancient disciples put down their machetes and squatted down, while Ling Feng fainted due to excessive blood loss. Chapter 3. Car Accidents. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The police quickly brought the situation inside the hotel under control. The gangsters were handcuffed and taken to the police car. The journalist who had been waiting outside the hotel stretched his neck like a duck to see what was happening inside. They have been waiting outside all along, and when they hear the sound of fighting coming from inside, they happily think there is news to catch and rush towards the hotel. But when they saw the situation inside clearly, they were all scared and ran out, quickly reporting to the police. Hu Liwei was also taken to the police car, and soon after getting on, medical staff came to bandage his wound. "Hey, big brother, why are you coming at such a critical moment? I'm about to kill that stinky girl. You're coming here now. Isn't this dismantling my platform?" Hu Liwei took out his phone and started talking. On the other end of the phone, he said, "What do you know? This woman is currently the focus of public opinion, and everyone is paying attention to the development of the situation. She has put a lot of pressure on me to solve the case within a deadline. If I can solve the case quickly this time, I will definitely be promoted. There is no need for me to say more about the benefits of this for the future development of the Tiger Gang. Don't worry, she won't be able to live, and I will definitely let you personally vent your anger when the time comes." Humph! Hu Liwei hung up the phone in frustration. Although he appeared to be the leader of the Tiger Gang and had great influence, the real mastermind behind the scenes was still the big brother on the other end of the phone. 120 emergency personnel used stretchers to lift Ling Feng into the ambulance, and 4 special police officers followed closely and also got on board. A few special police officers looked at Ling Feng, who was in a coma covered in blood, and couldn't help but say, "I can't believe that the Proxy death god who has been causing a lot of trouble these days is actually a woman, quite beautiful, but really ruthless. Yeah, I see those ancient fools, each with broken tendons and feet, their swordsmanship is clean and sharp. If this woman really wants their lives, these people will have to go see the Yen Prince. Brothers, who exactly is this woman? According to what you say, she is still kind to those little rascals and has not killed them, but she has repeatedly killed the leaders of various gangs. Is it possible that she wants to learn from ancient chivalrous women, practice justice for the heavens, eliminate evil, and promote good? Asked one of the round-faced and big-eyed Special Forces soldiers. Just a few words for me. The task of the four of us is to look after the suspect and ensure the successful completion of the escort task. An older Special Forces soldier said coldly. The other three didn't dare to say more, they all straightened their backs and became vigilant. Emergency personnel examined Ling Feng's injuries and looked at the wounds all over his body. They dared not easily treat him and could only take temporary life-saving measures, including blood transfusion. Ling Feng lost too much blood, his consciousness began to blur, and he unconsciously recalled many things from before, most of which were about him and Li. Li is a mysterious person. Until now, Ling Feng still doesn't know who he is. The unknown here is really unknown, because Ling Feng doesn't even know if the other person's gender is male or female. Although he and Li have been living together for over a decade, they are close friends in life and death. The first time I met Li was in an orphanage. Ling Feng has been living there since he remembered it. When he was 5 years old, a beautiful child came to the orphanage, and that beautiful child was Li. Li doesn't have a surname, only a first name. He said his name is Li. Li is different from other orphanage children. She is very optimistic and cheerful, and soon became a little star in the orphanage. Children love to play with Li, and Ling Feng is no exception. Soon Ling Feng became good friends with Li. But Li has some special habits. He never takes off his clothes while sleeping, and he always waits until he's alone to go to the bathroom. A few times, Ling Feng wanted to secretly track Li and figure out whether he was a man or a woman. But I didn't expect that Li was quite alert. No matter how secretive Ling Feng was, he would always be discovered by Li. Finally, Ling Feng tried various ways to inquire about Li's gender, but all of them ended in failure. When Ling Feng was 7 years old, an old man suddenly arrived at the orphanage, accompanied by several people. The dean warmly received the old man and gathered all the children in the yard. Several people around the old man began to examine these children one by one, and in the end, Ling Feng and Li were picked out. The two were directly taken into the car, and later passed by the train and then by the plane, and they were taken to a deep mountain. At this time, in a canyon deep in the mountains, a training camp has been artificially opened up, and 40 to 50 children are training on an open field. Ling Feng and Li were handed over to a burly man with a beard for training. Without further ado, 3 years had passed in the blink of an eye, and Ling Feng and Li were also 10 years old. They were sent to the war-torn Afghanistan. In a dilapidated house in Afghanistan, several Taliban militants are playing cards with AK-47s slung across their backs. A few people are patrolling at the door of the room and on the street outside. Li, there are only a few small shrimp. I can go alone. You can wait here and see. Cut, if you have to wait, you have to wait. Look at me, I have taken their old nest with a bag of C4. Li didn't wait for Ling Feng to express his opinion, picked up his backpack, and quietly touched the house. Seeing that Li didn't wait for him, Ling Feng quickly picked up his backpack and followed him. The two quickly reached the dilapidated house and secretly flipped through the window. The two of them exchanged a glance at each other, and in tacit agreement, they parted ways to find a suitable place to place the explosives. Quickly, the two of them placed the explosives and sneaked out from the original path. 1, 2, 3, and, bang, met with a smile, and in the huge reflection of the fire, the two walked side by side, shoulder-hooked. Later, the two of them carried out multiple assassinations, during which they worked in Iraq and Israel. Quickly, the two were listed as the top 10 enemies by Western extremist organizations, and they were vividly referred to as the Evil Moon Double Evil. Ling Feng and Li enjoyed this title very much. Just as they were gradually getting used to this kind of life of fighting on the tip of the knife, suddenly they received an order to return to their home country, and very rarely, they took a 2-month leave. Suddenly there was no command, no target, and neither of them knew what to do for a moment. So he began to wander aimlessly, and it was this seemingly harmless vacation that actually caused Ling Feng to lose his sight. As soon as he remembered the situation of that day, Ling Feng felt like there were millions of knives cutting and millions of ants crawling. Endless pain and regret surged in Ling Feng's heart. Li, I don't want to lose you. Ling Feng kept calling out Li's name and suddenly woke up from his memories. Ling Feng struggled to open a crack in his eyes and saw the medical staff and the police. It seems that I'm lucky and haven't died yet. I'm sorry, Li, I'll come find you later. Ling Feng took the opportunity to secretly observe the situation around him. Damn it, for special police officers, you really look up to me. Ling Feng carefully examined his physical condition again. The external injury on the body has been simply bandaged, and the blood lost has been replenished. There is not much chance of winning against 4 special police officers in this state. However, it is still possible to subdue one first and then defeat them one by one. The plan in his heart was settled, and Ling Feng no longer hesitated. His gaze swept over the 4 special police officers, and Ling Feng immediately locked onto the older special police officer. At first glance, he was the leader among these 4 people. Subduing him was equivalent to controlling the other 3. Suddenly, Ling Feng's body twitched violently and blood continuously flowed out of his mouth. Ling Feng's actions immediately caught the attention of 4 special police officers. They all quickly gathered around curiously, and the slightly older special police officer tentatively reached out to hold down Ling Feng. At this moment, Ling Feng seized the opportunity and suddenly got into a difficult situation. He rolled off the stretcher and with his right hand, he pulled out the pistol from the special police officer's body and pressed it against his waist. Put down your gun, raise your hands, and stand aside, Ling Feng stood up and said with a wicked smile. 3 special police officers were forced to stand on the side of the carriage, and Ling Feng escorted the oldest special police officer over. He kicked them unconscious with 3 kicks, and then knocked the last special police officer unconscious with a stock. Ling Feng turned around and looked at the emergency responders who had already been frightened and turned pale. He waved his gun and said, "Keep following the original route for me. If you dare to stop, I'll shoot you all." After speaking, he jumped off the ambulance. The ambulance quickly ran away, and Ling Feng chuckled as he shook his head and dragged his heavily injured body towards the woods by the roadside. Ling Feng stumbled along the way, taking off the clothes of the already dilapidated waitress and throwing them into the grass. The bones on the body exploded, and the body was elevated and restored to its original appearance. Due to the failure of this mission, we were unable to retreat along the established route and therefore had no clothes to change. Ling Feng had to walk in the dense forest wearing only 1 pair of underwear. After walking for about 2 hours, we arrived at a mountain in the eastern suburbs of Tianhai City. This mountain is called Wohu Mountain, famous for its winding mountain path. This place is also a famous underground racing track in Tianhai City. Every day, many supercars come here to run mountains. At this moment, a limited edition Porsche sports car was running rapidly on the mountain road. "My young lady, please drive slowly. You promised me to drive up to 120 miles before I allowed you to do it. You're driving almost 200 now, what if someone comes out of the woods by the roadside?" A skinny man in his 40s said anxiously. "Uncle Lou, isn't he just happy to receive the college notice? Besides, it's already noon in the wilderness, so there's no one there." "Don't worry," the girl said, wearing a slim-fit sports suit and a big ponytail combed behind her head. She firmly grasped the steering wheel with both hands, enjoying the excitement of driving at full speed. "Ah, if the master knows that I let you drive so fast, I won't be punished severely by the master." Uncle Lou tried to use his emotional card to make the girl obedient. "Oh my, heaven knows and earth knows this matter, you know and I know. If neither of us tells my grandfather, it's okay. Besides, I'll just drive for a while, and when I get out of this Wohu mountain, you'll let me drive. There are so many cars in the city, and the traffic is congested. The girl ignored Uncle Lu's advice and coquettishly said. Okay, Uncle Lu seemed to know that he couldn't stop the girl and reluctantly surrendered. Someone. Uncle Lu suddenly shouted loudly, and the girl also saw a person suddenly emerge from the dense forest in front of the car. However, the appearance of this person was too sudden, and the girl was immediately shocked and couldn't react at all. Fortunately, the intelligent collision prevention system that comes with the sports car has played a role, but the huge inertia still makes the car continue to drive forward. Ling Feng was severely injured, bleeding too much, and after walking in the dense forest for so long, his consciousness began to become blurred again. After finally walking out of the dense forest, I was about to take a deep breath when I suddenly heard the piercing sound of tires rubbing against the ground. I turned my head and cursed, "Damn it, this is really over." My eyes turned black and I flew out. Chapter 4. Proxy Death God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The car finally stopped, and the girl was really scared. Trembling, he asked, "Uncle Lu, is that person okay? What should we do?" "Don't be afraid, Yufei. You stay in the car, I'll go down and take a look." Uncle Lu comforted the girl and got off to check Ling Feng's condition. Ling Feng has already lost 9 out of 10 lives due to such a collision. Uncle Lu saw that Ling Feng was still breathing and his body was covered in scars, many of which were not from being hit by a car. I thought to myself that this person has a story, so I cannot let the young lady contact me, let alone let the master know. I will find someone to handle this matter myself. Uncle Lu walked back to the car and told the girl to drive home now. He stayed to take care of this person. The girl was still in shock, and when she heard that she could drive away, she immediately drove away as if flying. Uncle Lu called a few people to take Ling Feng to the hospital. And instruct them to directly solve any problems that can be solved with money without further contact. Upon arriving at the hospital, Ling Feng was directly sent to the ICU and suffered several blows in a row. Ling Feng was already as angry as a thread, with more breath coming out than coming in. The floating spirit of Ling Feng entered a chaotic world. Where is this? Isn't this the Triumph Hotel? Oh, what about the injury on my body? Why can't I hear someone else's voice? Why do they seem to not see me? Ling Feng looked at this familiar and unfamiliar world with confusion. Hey boss, look who's here. Damn it, it's this kid who caused our second team to exceed this month's task. Our targets for next month will be raised again. Suddenly, a voice exploded in Ling Feng's ear. Ling Feng followed the sound and saw a short, chubby young man with a worried expression busy with something. Newcomer, don't be stunned, come over and help quickly. Welcome to join the ranks of the Grim Reaper. A man with thick eyebrows and big eyes suddenly emerged from the ceiling and said. Ling Feng scratched his head in confusion and said, "What kind of death god ranks, with his own code name representing the death god? Do these people also have this hobby? What are you doing, dawdling around? Didn't you hear our boss calling for your help?" Another tall and thin young man emerged from the ceiling. You. Ling Feng wanted to ask many questions for a moment, but didn't know where to start. With a snap, a powerful arm rested on Ling Feng's shoulder. I said Xiao Pang, and there's also a bamboo pole. Don't bully the two of you, little brothers. When you first arrived, you weren't much better either. Little brothers, don't be afraid. If you have any doubts, you can ask me, just call me Du Gu. By the way, what's your name? My name is Ling Feng, Du Gu. Who are you? How could I be here? What does it mean to join the ranks of your death gods? Ling Feng asked the burly Du Gu beside him like a savior. Who are we? I already told you, we are the Grim Reaper. You can see us and hear us speak, so you are also the Grim Reaper. Before Ling Feng could speak, Dugu continued, I know it's all too sudden for you. You don't believe it. But I tell you, 1 in every million people may become the Grim Reaper, and you're quite lucky. But now the Grim Reaper profession is not easy to deal with, see. Dugu pointed to Xiao Pang and the bamboo pole, who are collecting the scattered souls of those thugs you killed. These people all have their rightful lifespan, but not everyone can die peacefully. This unused lifespan will turn into soul fragments after death, and soul fragments are crucial for the death of our underworld. God is a great tonic for cultivation. I didn't make a big contribution for you, but why did Pangu seem very angry just now? Ling Feng asked in confusion. How dare you say you have made contributions to us, kid? Xiao Pang heard Ling Feng's words and ran over with a whoosh, shouting at him. Just now, Brother Du said that soul fragments are a great supplement to the Grim Reaper. I have sent you so many soul fragments, why are you so angry? Ling Feng saw himself actively showing his goodwill and called out to Brother Pang, who was still very focused on his appearance and asked displeased. Alright, Dugu said to Ling Feng as he lowered his fat support and said, this death god is also graded. Those of us who work on the front line collect soul fragments, but we get diluted soul water by thousands or even hundreds of times. Moreover, we also have tasks on our bodies. As long as we find that you have exceeded the task this month, we will definitely increase your quota next month. So, with all your fuss, the area under our second team's management has exceeded the task ahead of time, and the quota for next month will definitely be even larger. However, you have also died now, becoming the death god, and it is impossible for us to provide soul fragments again. You can't complete the task, but you'll have to accept very harsh punishment. Can't Xiaopang be angry with you? Ling Feng was taken aback for a moment and said, it's not very interesting to be the death god in front of me. There's still a mission. I thought the death god could express gratitude and revenge, sing wine as a song, possess extraordinary abilities, and become a formidable figure that people can fear. Since being the death god is so boring, it's better to become a soul fragment and complete everything in this world. Upon hearing Ling Feng's words, Du Gu said meaningfully, although that's the case, there is an old saying in the world that goes, it's better to live than to die. Being a god of death actually has many pleasures, and I won't be able to explain it to you for a while. Old Du, have you finished speaking? Let's take him to check his soul grid. A man with thick eyebrows and big eyes suddenly appeared and urged Ling Feng and the others impatiently. Look, the captain is anxious. Du Chun's figure shook and he disappeared with Ling Feng. After a while, the two of them appeared in place out of thin air. Du Chun threw down Ling Feng and ran excitedly to the captain, whispering softly. Captain, our team has found a treasure this time. This kid is actually hiding in the dark and has a soul grid of 9 layers. If we report it, we will have completed all the tasks within a few years, and maybe we can still get promoted. Du Chun's face lit up as he began to fantasize about his future life. The man with thick eyebrows and big eyes, who was hiding in the dark, repeated thoughtfully before making up his mind and saying, No, I'm not going to hand him over. Why? Captain, it's a serious crime to find a genius hiding and not reporting it, Du Chun asked in surprise. Old Du, do you know what it means to have a hidden body in the Xianin area and a 9-fold soul grid? This means that he will have an immortal body. Of course, he has not yet awakened, and this time he just happened to be seriously injured. His soul accidentally entered the underworld, but he will eventually return to the human world. When he truly awakens, he will be able to freely shuttle between the human world and the underworld. And don't forget, 1 day in the human world, 1 year in the underworld, the yang longevity in the human world, and the tonic in the underworld. He can completely seize the yang longevity in the human world and come back to the underworld for cultivation. The rest goes without me saying much, his cultivation will be immeasurable. He is either a savior or a destroyer. Moreover, I always feel that the upper level of the underworld is different from before, and there seems to be some big conspiracy being planned. I believe he will be a sharp sword that can clear the order of the underworld, but this sword is too sharp. Before he fully awakens, I will temporarily snow it. At the right time, with a sharp edge, kill those damn old immortals. Du Chun couldn't help but curl his lips. How could this originally majestic paragraph end up becoming such a resentful and vulgar remark? However, others do not understand the captain, but Du Chun knows the captain's situation like the back of his hand. Captain Iron Bull, one of the former palace masters of the 12 palaces in the underworld, was dismissed and demoted to the lowest level of death god due to a failed mission. Du Chun has been following Iron Bull through all these years of ups and downs, and he knows that since the captain has said it, he must be determined to do it. No amount of persuasion will be in vain. The two of them came out to find Ling Feng and said with a worried expression, "Ling Feng, I have good news and bad news to tell you. Which one do you want to hear first?" Ling Feng looked at the two inexplicably and said, "Let's listen to the bad news first. The bad news is that your soul is incomplete and you can't be the Grim Reaper anymore." "What's the good news?" "The good news is, you're not dead, you're still alive." Ah, Ling Feng is going crazy. Is he dreaming or experiencing something real now? If you dream, why do you feel so real? But if it weren't for dreaming, all of this would be so absurd and unscientific. Iron Bull saw Ling Feng scratching his ears and cheeks in pain and comforted him, saying, "I know you're not used to experiencing so much at once. But what I said today and everything you saw today are true. You'll wake up soon, and if you don't believe it, you can see that your injuries will fully recover the next day. This is my gift to you. Oh, by the way, although you can't be the Grim Reaper, getting to know each other is a fate, and I'll appoint you as the Proxy Grim Reaper. We'll meet again when we have the chance, goodbye." Ling Feng's eyes began to blur, and his consciousness seemed to fall into an bottomless dark vortex, spinning and spinning. Suddenly, Ling Feng opened his eyes. The dazzling white light made Ling Feng unable to see anything clearly. After closing his eyes and waiting for a long time, he could barely squint his eyes to see the surrounding scenery clearly. "Wake up," he woke up, a cheerful girl's voice rang out. Ling Feng saw a petite female nurse excitedly looking at him, surrounded by many doctors holding surgical tools. "The young man is really lucky. We saved you for 6 hours before pulling you back from the brink of death," said a doctor in his 50s, wiping his head with sweat and feeling relieved. "All right, thank you all for your hard work. You guys should push him to a special ward to take good care of." Ling Feng was arranged to a special ward and only learned after inquiring with the nurse that he had been sent to the hospital. The person instructed the doctor to take good care of him, and then left with a lot of money. After seeing off the nurse, Ling Feng recalled his bizarre dream. Is that a dream? Why is it so real? Since I can't figure it out, let's wait until tomorrow to see how my knife wound completely healed within a day. Chapter 5. Being Deceived. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ling Feng originally wanted to stay up and observe if his body would change, but he persisted for less than 2 hours. Suddenly, after experiencing extreme fatigue, he felt a tingling sensation after taking a hot bath. And the crispy texture became stronger and stronger, wave after wave. Soon, Ling Feng's eyelids started to fight and he fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, Ling Feng suddenly woke up and hurriedly checked his body. I couldn't help but be stunned at this sight. The body, which was originally riddled with knife marks, surprisingly became intact and tender like a baby. Damn it, it wasn't a dream, that's to say, I'm now the real agent of death. Ling Feng excitedly jumped up on the hospital bed. Excited for a while, Ling Feng calmed down. I am now the proxy god of death, with the ability to heal wounds. I don't know if this ability is temporary or permanent, and what is the maximum amount of trauma I can bear. To know the result, I can only do it through experiments. Ling Feng looked around and found a fruit knife on the nearby table. Ah, it hurts so much, Ling Feng grinned as he looked at the wound on his arm that he had cut with a knife. He didn't expect that just a simple cut would be as painful as being hit by a bullet. Fortunately, under Ling Feng's gaze, the wound healed at a visible speed to the naked eye. Waha, Ling Feng now possesses the invincibility of the diamond, Ling Feng burst out laughing recklessly. At the same time, in a large estate in the southern suburbs of Tianhai City, a girl dressed in fresh and elegant attire was walking with a middle-aged man. Uncle Lu, how is that person? There won't be anything wrong, will there? The girl was Jiang Yufei who hit Ling Feng while driving. Don't worry, I have already had him sent to the First People's Hospital of Tianhai City. He only suffered a minor injury and will recover in a few days. You can prepare for your college life with peace of mind, Uncle Lu deliberately said to appease the girl. Jiang Yufei has been feeling uneasy these past 2 days. As a kind-hearted woman, she suddenly hit someone and felt very guilty because she was afraid to run away. She heard that the other person was fine, so she decided to go to the hospital to visit them on her own. Only in this way can one have a good conscience. But this matter needs to be kept from Uncle Lu. If he finds out, he will definitely not be able to go. The two chatted for a while again, and Jiang Yufei used an excuse to go play with her classmates and sneaked out of the estate. I took a taxi to the First People's Hospital in Tianhai City, and after inquiring from multiple sources, I found Ling Feng's ward. Ling Feng is lying on the hospital bed, thinking about how to take the next step. Suddenly, the door was pushed open and a girl walked in with her head in. Upon seeing that it wasn't a nurse, Ling Feng curiously asked, "Hello, may I ask who you're looking for?" Jiang Yufei looked at Ling Feng lying on the hospital bed with clear eyebrows and a thoughtful expression, and said awkwardly, "I came to find you. I'm sorry, that I hit you while driving. Are you okay now?" After that, Jiang Yufei lifted her eyes and secretly looked at Ling Feng. "I heard that the other party hit me, but I also benefited greatly from it. From this perspective, the other party is still their own benefactor. However, now that I have nothing left, the first and foremost problem is that I don't have money. I can't just steal or rob. It seems that the other party is a wealthy girl, so it's better to blackmail her." Ling Feng chuckled solemnly and said, "I was hit by a car, can I be okay? The doctor said I need to rest for at least 3 months. As someone who came from another city to work, I am helpless and cannot work. I have to starve to death." Ling Feng pretended to be pitiful. I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I drove too fast," Jiang Yufei apologized repeatedly with guilt. Ling Feng saw the girl's sincere regret and apology, and couldn't bear to continue teasing her, so he directly cut into the main theme. "I didn't mean to blame you either. Alright, you can find a place for me to rent and give me 3 months' living expenses." "That's okay." "Sure," Jiang Yufei immediately agreed. From childhood to big money, it was just a few numbers for her. Seeing the girl agree at once, Ling Feng didn't leave a trace and immediately completed the discharge procedures. However, in order to pretend to be seriously injured, Ling Feng did not ask the doctor to remove the bandage from his body. Ling Feng placed one arm on Jiang Yufei's shoulder and limped out of the hospital gate. After leaving the gate, Jiang Yufei started waving to stop a taxi. Ling Feng joked, "Where's Miss Zhang's sports car? It wouldn't have hit me and I'm so scared that I can't even drive, right?" Jiang Yufei vigorously supported Ling Feng, fearing that he would fall, while using her free hand to stop the taxi. I have no energy to pay attention to Ling Feng's teasing. Finally, a taxi stopped in front of the two people. The car window rolled down and a shiny bald head leaned over. "Are you taking a taxi, two people?" Jiang Yufei opened the door and put Ling Feng into the car, and she also got on the car. The driver asked, "Where are you two going?" Jiang Yufei looked at Ling Feng, who replied with a "don't ask me" expression. Jiang Yufei could only ask, "Master, how can we rent a house here?" The bald driver saw Ling Feng and Jiang Yufei sitting behind in the rearview mirror, who were only 16 or 17 years old. The man was covered in bandages, and the woman looked unfamiliar with the world. The most deadly thing is that the girl looks so beautiful and charming. I don't think an evil idea is forming in my mind. Find a place to rent a house, right? The two of you are seated, and I will take you there. The bald driver stepped on the gas and drove towards the outskirts of the city. As the car drove further and further, Ling Feng knew that the driver had not shown any kindness, but he did not expose it. Looking at Jiang Yufei again, she kept looking out the window curiously and didn't notice anything unusual. Ling Feng shook his head helplessly. Since he wanted to pretend to be very injured and come to work in the city, he had to pretend to the end, otherwise it would be bad if the girl found out. But it seems like I'm overthinking, the girl seems to be already very silly. The car eventually stopped at a remote factory in the urban-rural fringe. The driver let the two people off the car, honked the horn twice, and a few small thugs with yellow fur and tattoos walked out. Bald-headed Chang, are you here to pay the portion? If you don't pay again, you'll break your kid's leg. Don't even think about driving a taxi, said a small thug led arrogantly. Big brothers, how dare I not pay the portion money? It's not because my daughter is sick and urgently needs money. Big brothers, please give me some more time. Bald and forced, he went up to deliver various cigarettes. Give me some time off. Who would give me some time off? Brother Leopard said, if we can't collect all the money, we'll take the brothers' lives. We'll suffer, and you won't be able to get any better, said the yellow-haired boy fiercely. Look at what this big brother said, even if he peels off my bald head, he can't cut off his money. Today, I brought some top-quality products to several big brothers. Big brothers are happy, please give me some more time. Bald head said, pointing to Jiang Yufei and the others behind him. The little thugs saw Jiang Yufei and their eyes turned green. She surrounded the two with a lewd smile. At this moment, Jiang Yufei realized that she had been deceived. She looked at the few people around in terror. Although she was very scared inside, she still reached out and pulled Ling Feng behind her, standing up on her own. What are you doing? What else can we do? Of course it's just a slap, said the few thugs, making very lewd gestures. Abnormal, Jiang Yufei cursed and turned to Ling Feng, saying, I'll deal with them later. I'm a 5th Dan black belt in Taekwondo, take the opportunity to escape. Without waiting for Ling Feng to reply, Jiang Yufei took the initiative to attack. A thug with a small mustache at the corner of his mouth reached out to grab Jiang Yufei's wrist. Jiang Yufei raised his foot and kicked him directly, hitting the opponent's abdomen. The little thug clearly didn't expect this seemingly weak woman's legs to be so strong that the painful bile was about to vomit out and she couldn't stand up. Jiang Yufei was overjoyed with a powerful move and immediately moved her legs to attack the small thugs around her. Unfortunately, although Jiang Yufei is powerful, she has always faced opponents who play cards according to routine. At this moment, she was faced with all the troublemakers and soon fell into a disadvantage. One mistake caught her from behind and she immediately lost her ability to resist. After subduing Jiang Yufei, one of the thugs looked at Ling Feng, who was standing still and seemed scared, and asked, Big brother, what should I do with this disabled person? I knocked myself unconscious and threw it into the trash can outside. The little thug took orders and forced towards Ling Feng with a sly smile. Jiang Yufei saw Ling Feng standing still and anxiously shouted, Ling Feng, run away. Just as she shouted, someone covered her mouth. Jiang Yufei was anxious for Ling Feng's comfort and afraid of what she might face next. Tears of helplessness came out. She closed her eyes in despair and let the other party escort her towards the factory building. Suddenly, a dark figure crossed the crowd and landed heavily on the ground. Looking again, this black figure is not someone else, but the little thug who went to catch Ling Feng. At the same time, a cold and bone-chilling voice sounded. If you don't want to die, just let go of that girl. Chapter 6. Bodyguards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The few people who were escorting Jiang Yufei released their hands and took out spring knives from their pockets, saying, I didn't expect it to be a tough idea. Playing the role of a pig to eat a tiger. Ling Feng chuckled and walked leisurely towards the few people. The little thug who had just ambushed Jiang Yufei from behind stabbed Ling Feng with a knife. Ling Feng didn't dodge or dodge, and a quick and accurate right swing punch hit the opponent's face before the knife touched his body. The opponent spat out a mouthful of blood, mixed with shattered teeth. With one move, Ling Feng knocked out the opponent and completely intimidated the others. A few people pointed spring knives at Ling Feng, but they dared not move forward to attack. As Ling Feng advanced, they quickly took a step back. Ling Feng arrogantly hooked up to the thug led by him. The other party looked at his subordinates trembling, and several of them were also watching him. Once those who come out to cheat admit it, it will be difficult to regain face. The leading thug can only grit their teeth and shout to attack Ling Feng. Ling Feng reached out and grabbed the opponent's hand holding the knife fiercely. With a strong force, accompanied by the sound of bones breaking, the spring knife weakly slipped from the opponent's hand. That's not all, Ling Feng immediately pressed his knee against the other person's abdomen, and the other person knelt down in pain, shouting loudly. The remaining few people couldn't hold on any longer, turned around and ran, and Ling Feng didn't chase after them. Bending down and casually picking up a few stones, the stones hit the knee joints of the fleeing thugs accurately, with tremendous force, directly breaking their knee bones. Everything happened within 2 minutes. Jiang Yufei looked a bit stunned. I thought I was in a desperate situation, but this dramatic reversal happened. The reason for all of this was done by the boy with bandages all over his body. He is really too handsome, and Jiang Yu's small heart, which survived the disaster, is beating vigorously. After finishing tidying up the little thug, Ling Feng pulled up Jiang Yufei's eyes, which were twinkling with stars, and looked at him. He walked up to the taxi and said to the scared driver, You've seen enough. If you don't want to die, take us back to the city now. Bareheaded and strong, he got up and drove back to the city with the 2 yen princes. When getting off the car, Ling Feng used his palm knife to forcefully knock the bald head unconscious, muttering to himself, Poor people, there must be something to hate. Although you have your own grievances, this cannot be an excuse for you to do evil. The two of them stood on the square in the city center. Ling Feng looked at Jiang Yufei, who had been staring at him all along, and couldn't help but ask, Miss Jiang, you have seen me all the way. Am I so handsome? Jiang Yufei nodded like a chicken pecking at rice. Your moves to subdue those bad guys are really beautiful. Can you teach me? Oh, by the way, is your injury already healed? Seeing that it was no longer possible to conceal it, Ling Feng admitted that it was good. Why are you still wearing these bandages, like a mummy? Jiang Yufei pulled Ling Feng and walked into the mall next to the square. Wow, so handsome, Jiang Yufei sincerely praised Ling Feng as he removed the bandage and changed into a decent white suit, resembling a wealthy and elegant young man. Ling Feng looked in the mirror and said narcissistically, that's good, Mississippi. Where are we going next? How about you come with me to my house? I'm going to college soon, and my grandfather is planning to arrange a bodyguard for me, but I don't like the person he arranged for me. I think you're quite suitable. Anyway, you don't have much job, so why don't you follow me? Jiang Yufei looked at Ling Feng eagerly. Ling Feng thought for a moment and decided to stay in Tianhai City for the time being. It would be nice to hide in a wealthy family, so he nodded and agreed. Seeing Ling Feng nod, Jiang Yufei jumped up excitedly and said, Great, let's go back to the mountain villa. I'll take you to see my grandfather. I have my own bodyguard now, so there's no need for him to find me. At this time, in a villa in Fuhua Mountain Villa, which covers an area of several hundred acres in the southern suburbs of the city. An elderly man with flat-head silver hair and a lively spirit sat on a grand tutor's chair, talking kindly to a man with a cold and stern face across from him, whose muscles seemed to explode. Tai Long, has Feier's bodyguard been confirmed yet? Not yet. Now I have selected 10 candidates from our special training camp, who meet the requirements in terms of age and strength. Among them, Lin Xing and Zhong Han are the most outstanding, replied Tai Long respectfully. Okay, this Friday, you can arrange for me to personally inspect them in the stadium lobby. Tyrone was ordered to leave. Ling Feng and Jiang Yufei took a taxi back to Fuhua Villa. Looking at the various buildings built along the mountain and the neatly trimmed grass ponds, Ling Feng sighed from the bottom of his heart, rich man, real rich man. Jiang Yufei strolled around the villa with Ling Feng, and then had someone take him to the arranged residence to rest. And she ran to report her own situation to her grandfather. Grandpa, I have some good news to tell you, Jiang Yufei said with a bright smile on her face. Feier has returned, what good news? Look at how beautiful you are. The old man, with a flat head and silver hair, was Jiang Yufei's grandfather, Jiang Jiangguo. Didn't you keep looking for a bodyguard for me? You don't need to find it, I found it myself. Well, my granddaughter's skills are getting stronger and stronger, but I have to keep an eye on it for you. Let her go to the sports field on Friday to compete with your Uncle Tai's people, the old man said with a smile. Humph, the competition is just a competition, I guarantee he will impress Grandpa. Jiang Yufei said confidently since seeing Ling Feng's strength. Okay, then I'll wait and see what kind of talented person my granddaughter has found, making you so confident in him. That settled, Jiang Yufei ran out bouncing and took a deep breath as soon as she left. She had been worried that her grandfather would oppose her, but she didn't expect him to agree. Ling Feng, you must work hard. Ling Feng was led to a 2-story row building and assigned to live in room 107. Before coming, Ling Feng emphasized to Jiang Yufei that he must equip himself with a computer. Entering the room, Ling Feng immediately opened his computer to check the news about himself in the past few days. All major media and the police have come out to declare that there were 2 crimes. The suspect who caused major panic in Tianhai City has been captured by the police. The suspect is a woman. Due to the police's arrest, the other party was severely injured and ultimately died. The specific motive for the crime remains to be investigated by the police. At the same time, there are also numerous scenes of fighting at the Triumph Hotel, as well as photos of Ling Feng being arrested and taken to an ambulance. Humph, that's a good trick. The police station, in order to invite credit, actually hid the fact that they had escaped and fabricated false information about their own death to deceive the public. Ling Feng continued browsing and suddenly remembered the Proxy death post that he had browsed before. I clicked in and found that the posts inside did not stop due to police and media reports, but rather more people posted. A post titled, "Building a Building for the Agent Death God," was topped by the administrator, attracting Ling Feng's attention. The poster is a girl who said, "I know what acting as an agent for death is wrong. Apart from the law, no one has the right to deprive another person of their life. But her behavior is just, she punishes those wicked people who do nothing wrong. These bad people have money and power, and they specifically bully us, the weak group. We hope that the law can punish them, but sometimes the law can be blinded by money. My father is a taxi driver. He drives day and night to earn more money and treat my illness. But that's it, he still has to be bullied by bad people, and most of the money he receives every month has to be handed over to them. Every time I see my father secretly shedding tears, I fantasize that if I could go to heaven and earth, I would teach the people who bully my father a good lesson. Now someone has done what I have always dreamed of doing. Although she has acted a bit extreme, she is the embodiment of justice in my heart. She has unfortunately been killed by bad people now. I hope she can never be killed again in heaven, where everything is fair and just. Acting God of death, paying tribute to you. Ling Feng thought to himself that he couldn't be the bald daughter of Chang, so he casually strolled around and closed his computer. Although the police claim to be dead to the public, they will definitely investigate my whereabouts closely in secret. This will invisibly increase many difficulties for my next actions. However, the more difficult it was, the more exciting it became. Ling Feng licked his lips and a plan to eliminate the tiger surged in his heart. Chapter 7. Arrogance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Tiger Gang is the largest gang in Tianhai City. The gang has 4 sub-halls under its jurisdiction, namely Qinglong Hall, Baihu Hall, Zhuke Hall, and Xuanwu Hall. These 4 sub-halls control the 4 urban areas of Tianhai City. The last time standing next to Hu Liwei to block Ling Feng was the leader of Qinglong Hall, Kanjing. Through the last encounter, Ling Feng could feel that this eagle was very tricky. It is said that he was a special forces soldier before joining the Tiger Gang. Where to start, whether it's Vermilion Bird or Green Dragon, White Tiger or Xuanwu, Ling Fengxi couldn't decide for a moment. At this moment, a group of young people of the same age as Ling Feng walked over, chatting and laughing. Lin and Zhong, are you two abnormal? We've been practicing all morning, carrying a load of 20 kilometers for off-road driving, doing 500 push-ups and 500 sit-ups. We're almost exhausted and paralyzed, but you seem to be doing nothing. Thanks to keeping your hands on the free combat exercise just now, otherwise all of you guys would be useless, said a chubby boy with a dull face. That's right, did you two take your medicine? You've been so crazy lately, the others joked in agreement. What do you know? This is called the power of love. I am determined to be Miss Feier's bodyguard, Lin Xing said with a cheerful expression on his face. Everyone pointed their middle finger at Lin Xing. Don't be too sentimental, Miss Feier, we can't climb high. What kind of love are you talking about? At most, it's a secret love, the crowd sarcastically said. Lin Xing's face was a bit uneasy when he was mentioned, and he hugged Zhong Han beside him with his hand. I said Zhong Han, you also like Rain Fei. Can you also say something? Zhong Han remained silent for a moment, and everyone looked at him eagerly. In the end, Zhong Han remained wooden but firmly said, Miss Feier's bodyguard is me. Lin Xing has no choice but to deal with his old opponent. Zhong Han doesn't usually speak much, but he can choke every time he speaks. Oh, 107 is shining. Is it possible that we have new people here? Brothers, go and take a look. Lin Xing greeted everyone as if he had discovered a new continent. Ling Feng had long heard the noise outside the house, and without waiting for them to knock, he opened the door and blocked it himself. New here. What's up? Ling Feng asked. It's okay, I just want to tell you, come out now and go for a 20-kilometer off-road run, then do 500 push-ups and sit-ups, Lin Xing said intentionally as he looked at Ling Feng. Why? Ling Feng asked indifferently. For no reason, just because you are a newcomer, this is the rule for newcomers to come here. Everyone looked curiously at Ling Feng, seeing how he would respond. Bored, Ling Feng slammed the door shut. Some people think that their most impressive young man, Ling Feng, has seen many of them. Ling Feng has experienced a life that they dare not even imagine. Lin Xing was met with a nose full of dust and was very unhappy. He was about to forcefully knock on the door, but was stopped by Zhong Han. He's very strong. How did you know? Lin Xing asked. Intuition, Zhong Han said. Lin Xing was about to speak when a coquettish shout interrupted him. Lin Xing, what are you doing around Ling Feng's house? Miss Feier, Lin Xing put on a self-proclaimed handsome posture. We didn't do anything, we just came over to get to know the new people. Is that right? Jiang Yufei didn't trust Lin Xing, since you all know each other, let's go, Jiang Yufei began to rush people. Although Lin Xing felt reluctant, he still walked away with his people, and Jiang Yufei pushed the door open and walked in. They didn't do anything to you, did they? Jiang Yufei asked with concern. A group of kids who haven't seen the world before, I'm too lazy to talk to them, Ling Feng said lazily as he lay in bed. Aren't you the same age as them? Why pretend to be mature? Jiang Yufei had gradually become familiar with Ling Feng, and her speech began to become more relaxed. Ling Feng thought to himself that even if he spoke about his past experiences, no one would believe them. Who would believe that a 10-year-old child would be sent abroad to carry out assassination missions and within a few years become a prominent figure on the foreign hate list? I have experienced so many things, and if there is no change in my personality, even ghosts don't believe it. Sometimes my thoughts are a bit outdated. Let me tell you something, Jiang Yufei interrupted when she saw Ling Feng lost in thought. My grandfather is going to test you on Friday. How to test it? Ling Feng didn't even lift his eyelids and continued to lie in bed, standing still. How else can we test it? You also saw those few people just now. They were all chosen by my grandfather to be my bodyguard. So this Friday, my grandfather decided to finalize the final choice through a competition. Then I won't go, I'm not just begging to be your bodyguard. Why should I compare with them? Ling Feng flipped over and continued to stand up. Jiang Yufei was infuriated by Ling Feng's indifferent attitude. If you can be my bodyguard, you can go to college with me. I think you haven't attended college before. There are many handsome guys and beautiful women in college, should you go? University. Ling Feng never expected that he would have a chance to enter university in his lifetime. He thought that his life would be associated with slaughter, and he would eventually be punished by the law and end his life. I didn't expect to have the opportunity to enter university now. If I had my parents, they would also hope that I could take the college entrance exam. Taking back his thoughts, Ling Feng sat up and said, this welfare is good, I'll consider it. That's settled. You must not embarrass me on Friday, otherwise I will ignore you, Jiang Yufei said and walked away. On Friday, in a large hall of the Fuhua Villa Sports Stadium, 10 people stood side by side, including Lin Xing and Zhong Han, who were participating in the bodyguard selection. Lin Xing saw Ling Feng standing with Jiang Yufei and unconsciously clenched his fists even tighter. In the upcoming competition, I want to make you look good. I am the person who is most qualified to stand by Jiang Yufei's side, Lin Xing thought to himself. Jiang Jiangguo accompanied Tai Long to the sports stadium. Tai Long looked at the 10 people below and said loudly. Everyone is here, then let's start the game. You 11 can freely choose your opponents. Those who were not selected will move on to the next game with the winner until the final winner is determined. Let's start choosing your own opponents now. Lin Xing gave a glance to the person next to him, who walked out and pointed at Ling Feng, saying, I want to challenge you, Ling Feng. Jiang Yufei looked nervously at Ling Feng, while Jiang Jiangguo and Tai Long also looked at Ling Feng. You're not qualified, I won't fight, Ling Feng replied coldly. Obviously, this person was sent by Lin Xing to test his cannon fodder, and Ling Feng was too lazy to pay attention to the other party. The other party was publicly rejected by Ling Feng, and their face turned red with anger. Their veins surged, and they couldn't help but want to get up and make a difficult decision. But it was grabbed by Zhong Han on the side. I'm here to challenge you, you're qualified, Zhong Han said calmly. Sorry, Ling Feng smiled and shook his head. He had a good impression of Zhong Han, so his attitude was not too arrogant. What do you mean, neither this nor that? Do you have the ability to pretend to be big-headed here? Lin Xing asked angrily. Others also developed hostility towards Ling Feng's arrogant attitude. Jiang Jiangguo and Tai Long looked at Jiang Yufei and asked her what was going on. Jiang Yufei was also anxious in her heart. What happened to Ling Feng today? Why did she have to provoke everyone? If it weren't for so many people on site, she would have loudly questioned Ling Feng. Are you still comparable? If you're afraid, take the initiative to quit and don't pretend to be a grandson to us here, Lin Xing continued. Ling Feng ignored Lin Xing's provocation and replied with a smile, since you want to watch my game that way, then you can challenge me. However, it's too troublesome to compete each game. Why don't we determine the winner 1 by 1 inch? Everyone looked at Ling Feng in confusion. Lin Xing asked, how can we determine the outcome of each match? I'll fight against you 10 alone, whoever wins will win, Ling Feng said and looked at them quietly. The hall was silent, obviously stunned by Ling Feng's words. Is he crazy? Even their coach, Tyrone, cannot guarantee that they can beat 10 of them. He is a young boy of his own age, and how could he boast so eloquently? Silence eventually turned into anger. Young people are already full of vitality, and being looked down upon in public has completely ignited their anger. Tai Long wants to step forward and stop Ling Feng. Jiang Jiangguo stopped him and said, don't you want to see the real strength of the group of kids you've trained? Ling Feng looked down at the eyes below, as if they were about to devour him, and licked his lips bloodily. That's right, unleash your potential, and you will become the first touchstone to test my recovery from injury. Don't let me down. Chapter 8. Fierce Battle. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Lin Xing's eyes were filled with anger, even Zhong Han, who had always been very calm, felt a bit agitated. You are strong, but the 10 of us are not weak either. You will regret your behavior. Thank you for affirming me, but there's one thing you said wrong. The 10 of you are not weak, but very weak, Ling Feng continued. You want to die, the others couldn't help but shout and surround Ling Feng. As the instructor of these people, Tai Long was so belittled by Ling Feng and also somewhat angered, his fists clenched with a creaking sound. Hee, that's right, be angry, Ling Feng twisted his neck and gestured, come on. Although the 10 people were angry, they were well trained and coordinated in an orderly manner. They attacked and defended Ling Feng. Ling Feng moved left and right, not forcefully resisting the opponent, but immediately retreating with force every time he made a slight contact. Well, among the 10 people, the strongest one should be Zhong Han, while the fastest one is Lin Xing. Although the others are also pretty good, overall they still lack firepower. Ling Feng analyzed the opponent's situation while fighting. 10 people surrounded Ling Feng to attack, but Ling Feng was agile and couldn't catch him like a loach. Lin Xing was filled with anger in his heart to vent on Ling Feng, but Ling Feng refused to give him a chance. Always retreat immediately upon encountering. Lin Xing exclaimed angrily, Ling Feng, that's all you have. Can you just hide around like a mouse? Ling Feng dodged the leg attack of someone next to him and jumped out of the encirclement, saying, speed is also a type of strength. If I guess it's good, speed has always been your strength. If you have the ability, come and catch me. Lin Xing touched his nose with his thumb and said with a gloomy smile, that's right, speed is also a kind of strength. I'll show you my speed now. As soon as the words fell, Lin Xing moved and his body transformed into a blurry shadow, rapidly attacking Ling Feng. Tai Long on the stand saw Lin Xing unleashing his speed and smiled with satisfaction, saying to Jiang Jiangguo, Master, this Lin Xing has already surpassed me in speed. He attacks quickly and fiercely, making him a rare talent among these students. Jiang Jiangguo looked at Lin Xing, who was almost twice as fast as before, and nodded with a smile. Ling Feng dared not be careless and immediately quickened his pace. The two of them immediately fought together. I saw 2 people punching and kicking each other, and the audience was dazzled. Zhong Han couldn't help but say, this is the first time I've seen someone else besides the instructor who can fight against Lin Xing like this. His strength is indeed very strong. Lin Xing was no less shocked than others at this moment. It wasn't until he truly got to know Ling Feng that he realized the power gap between the two. Although it seems to outsiders that the two fought fiercely, you punched and I kicked without a tie. In fact, he knew in his heart that Ling Feng's speed was definitely above his own. Lin Xing threw an upper hook punch, and Ling Feng also threw an upper hook punch. He threw a side whip leg, and Ling Feng also threw a side whip leg. No matter what Ling Feng does, he also does it, and the speed is even faster than himself. But he always stops when he's about to attack himself. Finally, Lin Xing's physical exhaustion slowed down, and Ling Feng became familiar with his current speed. "Thank you," Ling Feng said, and then swept his leg, followed by a cross arm, to lower Lin Xing to the ground. Lin Xing fell to the ground, and the others immediately surrounded him. Ling Feng turned his neck again and chuckled, "This event has started, I'm going to attack now." After speaking, Ling Feng's body moved and his speed and strength were unleashed, like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. One by one, the students were knocked to the ground by Ling Feng's heavy fist. Bang! Another heavy double punch clash. To Ling Feng's surprise, the opponent was not knocked down like the others. Zhong Han rubbed his slightly numb fist and arched his hand, saying, "I'll accept it." Ling Feng smiled at him and said, "I have accepted it," and continued to increase his strength to attack. The two of them were less dazzled like when they were fighting against Lin Xing just now, and more fierce and powerful. Both of them didn't make too many flattering moves, and each attack was a real tough confrontation. Zhong Han's wooden face rarely showed a hint of excitement. His speed is not weak, but his strength is his trump card. But in the past, few opponents could confront him so solidly. He also dared not fully unleash his strength for fear of hurting the other party. But at this moment, Ling Feng fulfilled his wish. Ling Feng's power was not below him, and Zhong Han became more and more excited, to the point where he had already started laughing wildly. Upon seeing Zhong Han's rare madness, Tai Long was secretly shocked and said, "I once tested Zhong Han's strength, but he broke 2 ribs in that second life." Since then, Zhong Han has been restraining his strength during the war. But this Ling Feng actually made him completely free from his constraints. Isn't his strength even stronger? Tai Long no longer doubted Ling Feng's strength. The two of them clashed heavily together, then retreated from each other. "Cool." Ling Feng shook his sweaty hair and said, "Come back." Zhong Han waved his hand and said, "I admit defeat." He was already very happy to meet someone who could match his chess skills. If Ling Feng had really exerted all his strength, he would have been defeated long ago, so Zhong Han took the initiative to admit defeat. Ling Feng turned around and blinked at Jiang Yufei, meaning, "Well, I didn't disappoint you, did I?" Jiang Yufei gave him a white eye. Since the outcome is now divided, Ling Feng will be the chosen bodyguard for Fei. "Let's all disperse," said Jiang Jiangguo. Watching Ling Feng and Jiang Yufei leave, Jiang Jiangguo instructed Tai Long, "Send someone to investigate Ling Feng's identity immediately, the sooner the better." At this moment, Jiang Yufei was like a cheerful little bird, pulling Ling Feng and jumping. "You're my bodyguard now, you need to always protect my safety, okay?" "Cha, Xia Fengzi understands. May I ask if the Empress has any other instructions?" Inspired by Jiang Yufei's emotions, Ling Feng's mood was particularly relaxed and happy, as if forgetting the past. He was a normal 17-year-old boy. "Considering your good performance today, I'll take you to the mountains." Jiang Yufei exclaimed excitedly. "Running mountains? What kind of mountains did I run to? I just got into a fight and asked me to run mountains. Do you want to exhaust me?" Ling Feng immediately begged for mercy. "Ground beetle," Jiang Yufei said with a smile, "not to let you climb the mountain, but let's drive to run the mountain road. Let's not mention the excitement." Ling Feng gave a self-deprecating smile, realizing that he really didn't understand these things of wealthy children. However, for speed, every man will secrete hormones. "Okay, let's go then." Jiang Yufei secretly drove her Porsche sports car out of the villa with Ling Feng. "Where are we going now?" Ling Feng asked. "The place where we met for the first time," Jiang Yufei said meaningfully. Chapter 9. Return to the Old Town. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Buckling up her seatbelts, Jiang Yufei stepped on the accelerator and, amidst the roar of the sports car engine, the two of them quickly headed towards the underground racing holy land of Tianhai City, Wohu Mountain. At just over 10 o'clock in the morning, many cars had already gathered on the mountain path. Ling Feng looked around and saw all the sports cars worth over 1,000,000 yuan. Several people wearing leather jackets and open-fingered gloves were leaning against the car and talking. Seeing Jiang Yufei's car coming over, a man with a coxcomb and earrings, led by him, let out a reckless whistle. Here comes the little chili pepper. Are you interested in running around with your brother today? Chicken Crow Head pulled down his sunglasses a bit and scanned Jiang Yufei's body with obscene eyes. Little chili pepper. You have such a powerful nickname, didn't you notice? Ling Feng took the opportunity to joke. What do you know? My name was created through my repeated achievements in the mountain racing circle, but being called by this guy makes me feel nauseous. Jiang Yufei looked at Chicken Crown in disgust. Who is he? Do you want me to teach him a lesson, Miss Feier? Ling Feng asked, pretending to be serious. Forget it. His name is Yan Quan, and his father is Yan Baihu. It is said that his father is the head of the White Tiger Hall of the Tiger Gang. People here dare not provoke him because they are afraid of his father's power. However, although this person is quite annoying, he is also very skilled in driving and doesn't have to worry when driving. People in the circle have given him a nickname. Desperate San Lang. He also enjoys this nickname. Oh, by the way, it is said that his father also loves to run mountains and is a master. Jiang Yufei patiently and meticulously explained to Ling Feng. Ling Feng listened attentively and silently noted it down. Yan Baihu, the leader of the White Tiger Hall, likes to run mountains. I didn't expect to get such important information just by playing around today. Ling Feng couldn't help but feel happy from the bottom of his heart, as his tiger extermination plan could finally be officially launched. Which one is better or worse than him? Ling Feng asked. So far, I have only compared with him 3 times, losing all 3 games, each time at a fatal bend 3/4 of the track. That bend is built along a cliff, with one side being a cliff and the other side being an unobstructed cliff. The entire bend is almost a 90-degree right-angle bend. At that point, I was forced to slow down and was overtaken by him. Jiang Yufei recalled the past racing process, which was known as the corner of death by the circle because several cars fly off the cliff every year. After listening to Jiang Yufei's narration, Ling Feng pondered and said, if you ignore this right-angle bend, who has a greater chance of winning compared to him? Of course it's me. The name Little Chili Pepper is not for nothing, said Jiang Yufei proudly. Okay, do you want to win him once? Ling Feng looked at Jiang Yufei eagerly. Jiang Yufei nodded firmly, and no one in the car wanted to be pinned down, especially since the other person was someone she disliked. How can you help me win him? Jiang Yufei asked. How to win him? I will tell you then, but you need to make sure to obey my command 100%, can you? Jiang Yufei thought of Ling Feng's performance all along. His strength was unfathomable, and with him by his side, she felt very secure. Since Ling Feng said he had a way, he must be able to do it. Jiang Yufei nodded as she looked at Ling Feng. Yan Quan was already impatiently waiting outside, when he saw Jiang Yufei and a man whispering in the car, ignoring himself. Suddenly, an evil fire rose up. Little Chili, do you dare to compete? Yan Quan surrounded with a few subordinates. How dare you not compare? Tell me, what's the good news today? Jiang Yufei said with her head held high, unwilling to be outdone. Yan Quan raised his finger and shook it. 1,000,000, one game is the winner. After saying this, Yan Quan looked at Jiang Yufei provocatively. 1,000,000, although it is not an impossible number for them to come up with, it is a painful amount for them to spend 1,000,000 in a single game. Jiang Yufei looked at Ling Feng with some hesitation. Ling Feng shook his head at Yan Quan. Jiang Yufei breathed a sigh of relief. She was really afraid of Ling Feng's impulsiveness and agreed to come down for the competition. But Ling Feng's words almost made Jiang Yufei vomit blood. 1 million is too little, it's boring to play. Let's do it this way. If you win, she'll accompany you for a day, Ling Feng pointed to Jiang Yufei. If you lose, your car belongs to us. Yan Quan looked obscene at Jiang Yufei, then at his Ferrari 458, which was worth over 4 million yuan. After weighing it, he had enough confidence in his own strength, especially at the right angle of death. No one has been able to surpass him so far. Okay, that's settled. Yan Quan scraped Jiang Yufei's body fiercely with his eyes and walked away with a meaningful laugh. Yan Quan walked away and went to prepare. Jiang Yufei angrily asked Ling Feng, "Why are you making decisions for me without authorization? If I lose, I'll go spend a day with that pervert." Jiang Yufei's small face bulged and she asked Ling Feng like a firecracker. "The bait is not big, how can the fish catch the bait?" "Just wait and drive the Ferrari 458 home," Ling Feng said confidently. Jiang Yufei looked at Ling Feng with a confident expression and no longer hesitated about his private decision-making. Jiang Yufei and Yan Quan each prepared and drove the sports car to the starting line, while Ling Feng sat leisurely in the passenger seat. With a command, both of them started and rushed into the runway at the same time. As soon as she drove onto the track, Jiang Yufei immediately felt like she had changed someone else. Originally gentle and charming in appearance, her eyes became incredibly firm and confident, and even deeper down there was a hint of madness. This is an expression of immense love and confidence towards racing cars. Jiang Yufei uses both hands and feet, shifting and braking like a flowing stream, and her proficiency is no less than that of a professional racing driver. Crouching Tiger Mountain, the mountain road is winding and winding, with 19 major bends and countless minor bends. Jiang Yufei, the driver of Porsche, is like an agile cheetah, sprinting and changing lanes perfectly, gradually leading Yan Quan by a full 5 body lengths. Yan Quan did not show weakness, tightly biting Jiang Yufei's car and not letting go. Several times, he almost overtook Jiang Yufei through rapid acceleration at bends, but was all blocked by Jiang Yufei's body and unable to overtake. However, Yan Quan was not in a hurry. He knew his strengths lie in the right-angled corners. In the first 3 races, Jiang Yufei was also leading at the beginning, but at the corner of the deadly race, he seized the opportunity, overtook him in one fell swoop, and ultimately won the race. This time is no exception, Yan Quan thought to himself. That kid still wants my car, it's really wishful thinking. Quickly, the two of them drove over 3/4 of the mountain road and approached the corner of the deadly corner. Yan Quan was now less than a car body away from Jiang Yufei, and the winner's smile began to appear on the corner of his mouth. Jiang Yufei looked at Yan Quan, who was constantly approaching from the rearview mirror, as well as the right-angled bend that was close at hand. She quickly turned to Ling Feng for help, but was shocked to find that Ling Feng had closed his eyes at this moment. Chapter 10. Your racing car belongs to me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jiang Yufei is both angry and anxious. At this critical moment, Ling Feng is playing some tricks again. If he loses, he won't go to accompany Yan Quan. But if she were to pass the right-angle bend in front of her alone, she would inevitably slow down and drift over, otherwise she would rush off the cliff due to the speed being too fast. But as soon as she slowed down, Yan Quan had a chance to surpass her. In terms of drift technology, Jiang Yufei thought she couldn't match Yan Quan. Moreover, it drifts in places where once a mistake is made, there will be no place to bury oneself, and only fugitives like Yan Quan can play large-angle drift without slowing down. Just as Jiang Yufei was about to collapse, Ling Feng, who had been closing her eyes tightly, spoke up. Continue straight on the outer lane without slowing down. Jiang Yufei looked at Ling Feng as if she was crazy after hearing this and said, You're crazy. If you don't slow down and keep driving on the outside, are you asking me to drive straight out of the cliff? Don't talk nonsense, do as I say. Ling Feng's eyes remained tightly closed, but his tone was incredibly firm. Jiang Yufei was also angry. She treated her dead horse as a living horse doctor and continued to charge forward without reducing the throttle. She wanted to see what Ling Feng was going to do. Even if Ling Feng disregarded her life and death, he was still in his own car. He always had to consider his own life and death. Yan Quan kept biting Jiang Yufei tightly and waited until he reached a right-angle bend. As soon as Jiang Yufei slowed down, he quickly drifted over from the outside. He looked at the approaching curve, silently calculating the drifting route in his heart, and the car also ran in the outer lane. But just when Yan Quan thought Jiang Yufei was going to slow down and turn a corner, he was surprised to find out. Jiang Yufei not only did not slow down but also drove the car to the outer lane, blocking his way. Yan Quan cursed fiercely. Damn it, but he didn't know what medicine Jiang Yufei was selling in her gourd. Yan Quan was blocked in the way and didn't hesitate as he couldn't pass from the outer lane. He quickly turned the steering wheel and headed towards the inner lane, preparing to pass from the inner lane. Jiang Yufei drove the car quickly from the outer lane into a right-angle turn, and was about to break out of the cliff. Jiang Yufei's whole heart was in suspense. At this moment, Ling Feng quickly said, turning left and braking together. The car made a piercing friction sound and drifted violently, causing Porsche's right rear wheel to fall off a cliff. However, the full-time four-wheel drive system allows the remaining 3 tires to maintain sufficient grip. Cheer up, Ling Feng continued to command. Jiang Yufei suddenly kicked the floor oil, and Porsche made a 90-degree turn before charging straight back into the track. At this moment, Jiang Yufei realized that the timing of Ling Feng's command was just right. A little later or earlier would cause her to drift too far. Looking at Yan Quan again, although he was also working hard to drift and turn around, he was constantly suppressed by Jiang Yufei. At this moment, he was disturbed and fell far behind by Jiang Yufei. Jiang Yufei saw Ping An's right-angle turn and left Yan Quan far behind. She took a long breath, but still had lingering fear and asked Ling Feng, "What did you do just now? Why did you close your eyes? It scared you to death." Ling Feng pretended to be profound and said, "Don't trust your eyes too much. It's like a table tennis player. Do they always keep an eye on the trajectory of the ball while playing? No, they just need to look at the opponent's hitting motion to determine the trajectory of the ball, and driving is the same. If you take a look at this bend, you need to know when and where to take the best action based on your speed. When I saw the bend just now, I had already calculated it in my mind." Jiang Yufei said thoughtfully, "Oh, are you saying that the human brain should make predictions in advance? If you rely too much on your own eyes, it will actually affect your judgment and actions. You calculated everything in advance, so you closed your eyes, right?" "No, I closed my eyes because I was afraid," Ling Feng said, patting his chest and taking a deep breath. "You hate it." Jiang Yufei was so angry that she almost vomited blood. When she reached the finish line, she suddenly put on a sudden brake, catching Ling Feng off guard and almost flew out. Fortunately, she was wearing a seat belt. Looking at Ling Feng's disheveled appearance, Jiang Yufei let out a wicked expression and said, "Let you pretend to be a ghost and scare me, humph." Jiang Yufei had just reached the finish line, and Yan Quan followed closely. Regarding his defeat, Yan Quan appeared very angry. As he watched Ling Feng and Jiang Yufei fiercely throw down a sentence of, "Little chili pepper, you're ruthless," and about to leave, Ling Feng stood up and stopped his car. "I'm willing to give up, won't I admit it?" Yan Quan arrogantly pulled out the car key, held it in his hand, and shook it in front of Ling Feng. "Here's my car key for you, do you have the courage to take it?" Ling Feng snatched the key with one hand. Yan Quan's method of scaring others was acceptable, but he still avoided scaring Ling Feng. Ling Feng smiled proudly at Yan Quan and said, thank you very much. Then he got into the car and greeted Jiang Yufei. The two of them started the car and quickly left the place. Only Yan Quan looked at the two with resentment. Ling Feng was driving a strict and lenient sports car, thinking to himself, damn it, a sports car is just a sports car. It feels great to drive it, and the feeling of pushing the back is too good. It's much stronger than those worn-out cars he drove during assassination missions abroad. However, driving a sports car during assassination missions is also too ostentatious. It's likely that someone noticed it before they even took action. The two of them drove through the city, and Ling Feng suggested storing the car in the parking lot first, so that Jiang Yufei's family wouldn't know that the two had gone out to race. Returning to Fuhua Manor, the two of them hastily separated and worked on their own affairs. Jiang Yufei was busy preparing various things for her college education, while Ling Feng returned to her residence to think about the next path. Since the last car accident, Ling Feng has attempted to enter the underworld again. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't succeed. He suddenly had a bold speculation that the last time he entered the underworld was because he was seriously injured and his life was in danger. Do we have to face life danger again in order to have a chance to enter the underworld again? But now that I have the ability to automatically heal wounds, it will become even more difficult to face life-threatening situations again. As soon as he thought about his wound healing ability, Ling Feng felt worried again because he didn't know where the limit of his ability was. Can he heal all the injuries he has suffered, or can he only heal minor injuries? Also, the side effects of this ability are too obvious. After each injury, one's pain increases by at least 3 times. Once, Ling Feng wanted to test the limits of his ability and stabbed himself with a knife for more than 10 times. Although the wound healed quickly, the immense pain drove Ling Feng crazy, so the experiment came to an end. Although Ling Feng was unable to test the limit of this ability, he was already very satisfied. With this ability, he was not afraid of someone shooting a black gun again. If he had this ability long ago, he might have already killed Hu Liwei. Ling Feng was lost in thought for a while, then lay in bed and fell asleep. In my sleep, I remember Du Chun's words again. We will meet again if there is a chance.